Welcome to my solo guide to ranked queuing. This video is specifically for lower lobbies as I am typically a hard stuck Diamond 4, Diamond 3 player. I've recently transitioned from PS4 to PC and spent a lot of time solo queuing so I can get up to Platinum and even Diamond to play with some of the friends that I was playing with prior. So that way we don't have to triple stack pubs. Which is no fun for anybody. So this first video, we're going to really focus on dropping and work on some of the fundamentals of dropping that'll make the experience better for yourselves and your teammates. So the inspiration behind this video really came when I was playing and I was match made with a couple of folks that were talking about their previous games when they were solo queuing, and I thought it was pretty funny, and we'll do a live look in on that so you can kind of get some context to it. Then we'll look at a couple of my drops, specifically with some teams that I just met, some improvements that we could make, and finally we'll end with just some of the points that I made throughout the video to do a little bit of a recap to hopefully make your experience a little bit better. So let's start with that live look-in.
I've had 3 back-to-back second place games.
Oh, nice. Yeah, at least it's decent RP.
Yeah, that's the only reason I'm gold 1 right now, but the last game I played,
I make a great wingman.
I was sitting there fucking carrying the hell out of this team, and they're all like, oh, let's push this team. I'm sitting there like, we're in the top 3. If we push that team, we're gonna get third party. We're not gonna win.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, I'm only playing for points. And they push in, die.
Yeah,
Both of them got died and finished, and then I finished the team, and then guess how many people jumped? 3.
Of course.
Yo, what's up, gents?
What's up, brother?
Not much. How about you, man?
Just chilling, loving the story. Sounds like solo queuing to me.
It was
Yeah,
solo
that's
queue.
it. Yes, sir.
It's my
Not
first game
anymore,
of the day,
though.
so it might be a little rough. So as you can see in the video and hear, a little bit of frustration from my teammate, and I kind of chime in at the end. One, I just wanted to, make it a little bit easier for us to be able to communicate throughout the game, so that way they're comfortable making call outs and comfortable listening. But two, because I felt the very same experience. So now let's take a look at a couple of the drops that I had. It might make it a little bit easier. So the first one, and you're going to notice, I should point out that it is with the same team, right? But during my first drop, what you'll find is that there was some pretty decent communication to begin with. I start talking and then I get something back right away. I felt like this was probably going to be a pretty good team overall, at least from a communication standpoint. And I know when communication's going well, I definitely like to talk a little bit more and get to know the players that I'm playing with. And then it just really brings up the vibes, right? But as you see right here, starting off, he definitely is going to ping. As a matter of fact, I think this was the girl that we were playing with that actually was the jump master this time. So she sets a ping of where we're going. We're looking around, we're talking a little bit about squads that may be coming with us, where we're going to land, that kind of stuff, if it's free, if it's not free, how much time we're going to loot, and it really starts off pretty good, right? So moving on in this game, the drop felt like it went pretty well. Here was kind of the end part of this game. Our teammate goes down, I try to back off. I make that call out. I wasn't really paying attention to see where my teammate was from a health standpoint. I thought she could get out of there. May have been a bad call from me, totally understand. But I really did a poor job here. I put this Wraith down and then, I closed the door on myself. So it wasn't very smart. So I could understand them being frustrated, right? So we go into the next game and I get the same teammates and I'm thinking, okay, one, I'll kind of make a joke about it a little bit. How I kind of messed up on the door, and I get a little bit of a reaction out of it, but I don't get a whole lot of talking after that, and it really made the experience awkward from there because the drop was a little bit different this time. We knew where we were going, but there wasn't a lot of communication around how many teams were landing with us, how much time did we have to loot. even talking about which legends were landing around us and what they needed. It just went really radio silent. So, looking at that from an experience standpoint, both for them and for me, I just wasn't prepared going into the fight. And that's something that's really tough when you're solo queuing, right? It happens quite a bit. A teammate will run in, they'll get fried by 1 or 2 or 3 players. And when that happens, it really makes it tough on the other 2 players to try to pick up the slack, right? I don't really go on to show that here, but it's just something to think about, based off of what we've been listening to in the video previously. It's not fun for anybody. So I'm going to give you some ideas here on, what you can do to try to make it better for yourself and try to make it better for your teammates. And you'll kind of see some of that stuff in the background as well. Total separate game, but watch for the player count in the drop ship. Kind of know if you're going towards the end of the drop, how many players are still in the drop ship. That'll kind of give you a little bit of guidance of how many players or how many teams are going to end up in the POV with you, right? The next thing, ask your teammates where they would like to land if you're the jump master. If you have somewhere where you specifically like to land, it's okay to say, hey, do you feel comfortable landing there? And if not, what are some of the other areas that you can land in, right? Now, obviously, you got to do that pretty quick and got to be on the communication train right at the beginning of the game, but it definitely will help out your experience. Ping the area on the map where you are landing. This happens quite a bit where people don't ping it. They'll be playing with a friend or even solo queuing, and then they'll just, jump out of ship. And it's funny because those same people will be the ones that get angry with you when you land on them and you start looting, right? And I know for me, I try to get very specific where I will ping a POV if I'm jump master. Then I will re-ping where I'm going to land so that way my teammates know where I'm going to land. And if they're not communicating, I'll also try to ping if we have a team coming with us. So that way, at least they're somewhat aware that we've got people coming with us, right? On that same token, you want to separate yourself from your teammates to gather loot quicker, especially if you're landing with no other teams in that POV, right? You want to make sure that you can separate and kind of gather as much loot as possible and then regather with the team towards the end, keeping your ears and eyes open, right? Now, if you're landing with another team, obviously it'll be important to stay close. Look for the building right beside. Make sure that you don't have a teammate that's getting triple landed. This will happen quite a bit. If you're the one getting triple landed, try to make an audible. Try to get out of there as quickly as possible, right? Next thing is identify where the enemy players are before pushing. Okay, you've seen a team land. Before you go running in 1v3, try to identify them and try to ping them for your other teammates. If they are in comms, try to communicate which legends are they, right? Where are they at? Which building specifically? Are they on the roof? Are they on the ground? Are they holding a door, right? Get as much information out there as possible. And if your teammate's doing that, try to listen as much as possible without overstepping, right? You want to get as much information before you run into that. And then do not push into a 1v3. This happens far too often in solo queuing. I'll end up with the player that wants to drop hot, immediately runs into a 1v3, goes down, and then starts pinging their banner like crazy. Or they'll start yelling on the microphone, why weren't you behind us? And the rest of the team just wasn't ready to go, right? And that's tough. And that's just not something that's going to make it enjoyable for the player or the legend that is running in to the 1v3, and it's definitely not going to make it enjoyable for the other 2 players, right? A lot of times I'll see one of the players when that happens leave the POV altogether, right? And that'll leave me solo trying to 1v3, and then at that point you're essentially sending a full team 3 1v3s, which they're going to clean up almost every time. Now in the lower lobbies, it's a little bit easier because you can get away with some 1v3s, but as you get into the tougher lobbies, people are going to win those fights. There are going to be a lot more team shots and there's going to be a lot more angles, right? So that's just something that you don't want to do. So that being said, hopefully this will help you out in your solo experience going forward. And, if you see me in game, don't be afraid to chat it up a little bit. I definitely like the communications. I try to play different styles of games so that way it's a little bit more enjoyable for the legends that I'm playing with. And then in the meantime, I hope that everybody's ranking up to that next level that they desire to be at. So until next time, legends, I will see you on the battlefield.